Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour we here are one congregation and all are welcome. Please rise and body your spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship today, which is Building a New Way. It's hymn number 1017 in our teal hymnal. Can I get a woo? Okay, thank you. Sorry, it just came over me. So my name is Marcia Kristen, and my pronouns are she, her. I started coming to KUF 20 years ago about. I came with my husband, my still husband, and my 3 kids who were elementary school age at that time. I wanted to find a place where they could have religious exploration and feel safe and actually encouraged to ask questions and to ponder their own faith formation, which has been incredibly impactful in a positive way for all of our family. And I continue today. It really helps me also explore spiritual practices here and live in alignment with my values. Currently, I'm a part of the Compassionate Communication team. And today I am wearing a bright green top. I have short hair that's kind of brown, blondish, and I wear glasses. Our guest speaker this morning is UU Minister Reverend Florence Caplow, and I'm so glad to have her here. Based in Port Angeles, and is also a Soto Zen priest, there's more, a Dharma teacher, field botanist, essayist, and editor. So many UUs participated in the Good Trouble demonstrations on July 17th. It was the 5th anniversary of the death of great civil rights activist Representative John Lewis. And in this service today, we get to celebrate the life of John Lewis and consider how his determination can give us courage in these times. Yeah. And if you're visiting this morning, you're invited to participate truly as you feel comfortable and to be at choice. There's fidget toys, there's a rocking chair, there's the Elmore room that has a screen and shows the service where you can listen to it in a less sensory place. We also have assistive listening services available. You just need to check with one of the ushers for any of those items. As all of us know, and it's wonderful to be reminded that there's many people who join us and attend online. So if you're visiting online today, you are very welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. And we know you are there, and we are, our hearts are with you, and you are with us. Let's see, and there's announcement. We won't go into a ton of them here, but they are in a little flyer in your order of service. They're also emailed in our weekly newsletter, The Candle. And you can sign up for that newsletter to be emailed to you either on the website or actually in the foyer too, the good old-fashioned way. And as far as this week, lots going on. I just want to highlight that the Faith Formation team is offering their first offering, which is the first in 3 sessions on responding to the anti-trans movement. And I have seen the curriculum, and I am quite impressed and excited about how we can support all those who are being targeted at this time. So I invite you to come to that. And also, I've been told the farmers market is abundant out there, so please join and in the breezeway and see what you can take with you. Now that those logistics are done, let's take a moment to silence any electronic devices that you're not going to need to be monitoring during this time. And as that is part of creating a sacred space, I also invite you now to breathe however you would like to breathe for a few conscious, mindful breaths. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge the land here that we are on. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people, expert fishermen and canoe builders and basket weavers. The Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855.
You all, I am not used to your really wonderful practice of actually saying what I look like. So to all those out in space and here, my name is Florence Caplow. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently wearing a black skirt and top and a kind of lavender blue over top and a multicolored stole. And I'm very glad to be here. Many of you probably don't remember me, because I think we just figured out it's been, this is shocking to me, 9 years since I've been here, when I was serving as the assistant minister at the QUF in Port Townsend. And that, I believe that the last time I spoke here was the Sunday in 2016, after the election. And this space, which didn't used to have quite as many people as you now have, was completely full. And in fact, I don't know if this person is here today, but somebody at the end raised their hand and said that they were now, as of the election, a born-again Unitarian Universalist. True story. There was a tremendous amount of feeling in the room that day. And here we are again. And that fear and dread that was felt in 2016 are back even stronger in many of our hearts, and for good reason. So the question is, how do we go on? How do we keep our spirits and our commitments alive during this time that's so hard? We say that as Unitarian Universalists, love is at the center of our faith and commitment. And if you want to see what the power of enduring love and commitment looks like, I cannot imagine a person or a life better to teach us than the life of Representative John R. Lewis, civil rights leader and congressman from Georgia for 38 years before he passed away in July of 2020. In books and articles and documentaries about him, 4 qualities stand out: courage, a lifelong commitment to nonviolence, kindness, and above all, perseverance. As he said, "I believe that you see something that you want to get done, you cannot give up and you cannot give in." He lived that truth, and he can inspire us to live it now, too. So, these are tough times, and we need all the inspiration we can get. May you walk away from this Sunday inspired, even a little bit more, to continue to make good trouble.
Join me now in lighting our chalice. And if you have your own chalice or candle at home, please light it as I read our chalice lighting words. As we kindle this flame of our commitment to a better world, we honor the memory of John R. Lewis, who lived a life of persistence, courage, nonviolence, and love. May what we hear this morning inspire us, as she said, to continue our own work of making good trouble. And now, join me in the spoken affirmation as the words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. And now, Representative John Lewis once wrote in Across That Bridge, A Vision for Change and the Future of America, quote, "You are a light. You are a light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Release the need to hate, to harbor division, and the enticement of revenge. Release all bitterness. Hold only love, only peace in your heart, knowing that the battle of good to overcome evil is already won." With those words in mind, please rise in body or spirit to join in singing hymn number 118, "This Little Light of Mine," in the gray hymnal.
I'm gonna let it shine. Wow, you guys, you sound awesome. I know, I say that every time, but you just do. Good morning. My name's Liz Roberts. I'm in my 50s. I have dark hair. I still wear glasses, but this morning I'm wearing a green floral print dress. As you recall, I and Melinda Hughes, our Director of Faith Formation, have been talking to you about what the kids are doing this summer up the hill. Can-do summer. Who likes the sound of a can-do summer? I do. This is an exploration of curiosity and imagination, keeping an open mind, flexibility as you face challenges, which always come. Today, they're going to be exploring toothpick architecture. Now, I'm going to be watching. If any of you taller people sneak out, I'll know where you're going. They're going to use imagination and creativity. They're going to embrace their inner architect. They're going to build houses, towers, or something else, ultimately combining everything together into something bigger. But before I begin this morning's story, I want to mention that as you just heard in the service today, we're going to be commemorating the 5th anniversary of the death of a great man, Representative John Lewis. You might recall he worked hard to bring justice to our country and our world, and we recently read a book. I read it to you called Preaching to Chickens. That was about John Lewis. This morning, though, I have a rhyming text for you, written by Andrea Beatty, illustrated by David Roberts. It's called Iggy Peck, Architect. So let's begin. Young Iggy Peck is an architect and has been since he was 2, when he built a great tower in only an hour of nothing but diapers and glue. "Good gracious, Ignatius," his mother exclaimed. "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen." But her smile faded fast as a light wind blew past when she realized those diapers weren't clean. "Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks." But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn using dirt clods to build a great sphinx. When Iggy was 3, his parents could see his unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples and temples from modeling clay. At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch from pancakes and coconut pie. Dear Ig had it made until 2nd grade, when his teacher was Miss Lila Greer. On the first day of school, she had this to say: "We do not talk of buildings in here. Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings, ancient or new." She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. That might seem severe, but she was sincere, for when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour of the 95th floor, young Lila got lost from the group. She was found 2 days later in a stuck elevator, eating cheese with a French circus troupe. After that day, it's quite safe to say she thought all building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she taught that, above all, one ought to avoid them, no ifs, ands, or buts. As you might guess, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk. But he didn't hear. He sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. "You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck. Tear that castle down right now. You will not build in here. Is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal Howe?" "No, ma'am," Iggy said. He lowered his head, and his heart sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now 2nd grade was a bore. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. They crossed an old trestle to a small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed and Miss Lila Greer started to scream. "We're trapped here!" "Oh my, alas, kids, goodbye." Her eyeballs rolled back in her head. she dropped to the ground with a vague groaning sound, luckily fainted, not dead. The class was amazed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one bright young man was off hatching a plan, which started with Miss Lila's shoe. Soon each lad and lass there at Blue River Pass was working together as one. And when she came to, Miss Lila Greer knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw hanging there a structure with cables and braces, and on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which one should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge in a glorious bridge, dangling from shoestring suspension. It all became clear to Miss Lila Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There are worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than to spend your time building a dream. Now, every week at Blue River Creek Elementary in 2nd grade, all the school kids can hear, along with Miss Greer, how the world's greatest buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker, in t-shirt and sneakers, talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, he's the guy who builds towers from pie, that brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. Now, an aside, the first time a class clapped after a book, I was like, what? But it's because Andrea Beatty and David Roberts are brilliant. Check them out, you guys. There's many other books in their series. Now, in the weeks ahead, may all of us, kids and adults alike, seek that can-do spirit of creativity and flexibility and persistence like Iggy Peck, but also like Representative John R. Lewis that we just heard about. You will face challenges. You will face troubles in your lives, sometimes all at the same time. But by remembering that you in yourself have persistence, you have flexibility, and you have great problem-solving skills, you know you can figure a way through whatever comes your way. And I say amen and blessed be.
So we continue, before we get to go do that fun stuff up there, we gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. So together our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is the time in our service when we share in the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. And as part of that mission that inspires us to act on our beliefs, we share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within the larger community here. And our charitable giving recipient for the month of August is the Bremerton Backpack Brigade. And in a moment, the ushers will be moving among us with the baskets to collect the offering. And donations placed in the basket will go directly to KUF. If you'd like your offering to go to the Bremerton Backpack Brigade, please use one of the envelopes that's provided to you with your order of service when you came into the sanctuary. So let there now be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community, which is sacred to us, and we get to enjoy a gift of music sung by Joshua Sellers and accompanied by Brian Kenny, My Soul Cries Out.
My soul cries out with a joyful shout that the God of my heart is great, and my spirit draws near and the world is about to turn. Though I am small, my God, my all, you have worked great things in me. And your mercy will last from the depths of the past to the end of the age to be. Your very name puts the proud to shame, and to those who would for you yearn. You will show your might, put the strong to fight, for the world is about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. From the halls of power to the fortress tower, not a stone will be left on stone. Let the king beware, for your justice tears every tyrant from his throne. The hungry poor shall weep no more for the food they could never earn. There are tables spread, every mouth be fed, for the world is about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. For the dawn draws near and the world is about to turn. Let the nations rage from age to age. We remember who holds us fast. God's mercy must deliver us from the conqueror's crushing grasp. This saving word that our forebears heard is the promise which holds us bound. Till the spear and rod can be crushed by God, who is turning the world around. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. And the world is about to turn. The world is about to turn.
Thank you. Please rise in body or spirit to sing our children up to their classes, and the words for May You Go With Joy will appear on the screens. Now we have a time to share our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened, and we are less alone. So we have companionship in our grief. So we have a number today. We have a joy from Beth Wilson, that so many generous KUF people attended our Results Saving Lives Together barbecue in the woods and were tremendously generous. A true thank you. We also have a joy and a sorrow from Cassidy Owen. Their joy is that I just got back from a wonderful trip to Norway, and it was full of joy and enchantment. Oliver, our 4-year-old, loved it too. The sorrow is that I found out today that my dad has a suspicious mass in his prostate that is likely cancer, and as a doctor, I know what this entails, and I am worried. So we send out lots of healing and hope there. And we have a joy from Lisa Johnson, that on Tuesday, the 26th, Mac Johnson will have his 70th birthday. Where's Lisa? Oh. He's not here, yeah. I see that. He's not here. Because he's getting ready for yet another climbing trip. Impressive. And so we will send out our love on Tuesday, especially for Mac. And we also have a joy and a sorrow from James Spear. Joy is that my friend made it safe coming from California to here. She is a travel nurse. And a sorrow is finally cleaning out my departed husband's things from my house, which I know is tender stuff. And we have a sorrow for Margaret McKinsley. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. The sorrow is that I've just learned that my son-in-law was just diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer, and I'm so sorry to hear that. May there be a lot of support for that. And a final joy from Bunny and Matthias for all the love and support shown to our Russian friends, Paula and Nastya, by this beloved community. Thank you to all who have offered them gifts of monetary value and of kindness for their baby that's on its way, I believe. Yeah. Oh, still on its way, yeah. I don't always get that information, you know. And we are going to have one last candle that we light for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share and that we hold in our hearts. Thank you.
When the journey is long, when there are defeats and sorrows along the way, we need the inspiration of others in our life, of those who have gone before us, to keep us from giving up. So we'll have a time of silence and meditation, and for our meditation today, I want to invite you to consider who inspires you, come rain or storms or obstacles. Maybe this person is living. Maybe they've been gone a long time. Maybe they're a very famous person that you've never met. Maybe there's someone in your own family or a good friend or a teacher. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable and just consider who that person is. Just bring them to mind. We'll have a moment of silence as you consider who that person is for you. And send a silent thank you to them. And in this silence, if you feel called to do so, and it's okay if the voices overlap one another, call out the name of the person who inspires you to keep going. And now we will sing Spirit of Life, hymn number 123 in the gray hymnal.
And for the reading today, what's been chosen is a speech that was given at commencement at Emory University in 2014 by Representative John Lewis. It's called "We All Live in the Same House." I grew up in rural Alabama. I saw those signs that said white men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. I would come home and ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why? And they would say, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way. Don't get in trouble. And in 1957, I met Rosa Parks at the age of 17. In 1958, at the age of 18, I met Martin Luther King Jr. And these two individuals inspired me to get in the way, to get in trouble. So I come here today to say to you this morning. On this beautiful campus, with your great education, you must find a way to get in the way. You must find a way to get in trouble. Good trouble, necessary trouble. Young people ask me, how can you be in Congress? You got arrested so many times. And I may get arrested again, he said. The last time I got arrested was trying to say to Congress, we need to pass comprehensive immigration reform and set people in a path to citizenship. It doesn't make sense that we live in a society where more than 12 million people are living in the shadow, living in fear. That is not right. That's not fair. And that is not just. And you must get in the way and find a way to make the way out of no way. He continues, when I was growing up, I had an aunt by the name of Suniva, and she lived in what we called a shotgun house. Sometime at night, you can look up through the holes in the ceiling, the holes in the tin roof, and count the stars. And when it rained, she would get a pail and a bucket or a tub and catch the rainwater. One Saturday afternoon, a group of my brothers and sisters and a few of my first cousins were out playing in my Aunt Suniva's dirt yard. And an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, that lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. And my aunt became terrified. She thought this whole house was going to blow away. When it appeared that one corner of the house was going to blow away, my aunt had us all to hold hands and walk to that side to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. And when the other corner appeared to be lifting, she had us to walk to that other side. We were little children walking with the wind. So I say to you, the wind may blow, the thunder may roll, the lightning may flash, and the rain may beat on our old house. Call it a house of Emory. Call it a house of Georgia or Alabama or New York. Call it a house of Europe. Call it a house of Africa. Call it a house of Asia, of Central or South America. Call it a house of the Middle East. We all live in the same house. And it doesn't matter whether we are black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. It doesn't matter if we are straight or gay. We are one people. We are one family. We all live in the same house. Be bold. Be courageous. Stand up, speak out, and find a way to create the beloved community, the beloved world, a world of peace, a world that recognizes the dignity of all humankind, of all beings. Never become bitter, never become hostile, never hate. Live in peace. We are one people, and one love. So ends his speech. Now, please join in a moment of reflection from those words. And it's going to be followed by our post-reflection music, which will be Lift Every Voice and Sing, composed by James Weldon Johnson and John Rosamond Johnson. And it's going to be sung by Joshua Sellers with Brian Kenny accompanying. But first, a moment of silence and reflection.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our parents sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from that gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the bright gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever on the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Well, if that sounded like an anthem, it's because it is an anthem. It's considered the Black anthem. And in fact, if you ever go to an NAACP meeting, everyone will stand and sing that with just full fervor. Thank you. Perfect word. So thank you for that. That was beautiful. So 5 years ago this summer, it was still the height of the COVID pandemic. Remember that? No vaccine was available yet. Fear stalked everywhere. No one went into another person's house. I was in hot and muggy Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, serving my UU congregation full-time remotely. It was a hard time. I'm sure you all remember. On May 25th of that year, George Floyd, an unarmed Black man, was killed by police in Minneapolis, and massive protests broke out all over the world. One of the most moving moments of my time in ministry in Urbana was in late June of that year when many people from my congregation, from babes in arms to people in their 90s, gathered in a big circle in the parking lot of the church, masked, to walk over to the courthouse to join the Black Lives Matter marches that were happening, that particular one. So they risked their own lives and health to stand with the Black community of Champaign-Urbana. And then, not long afterward, on July 17th, we heard that the great civil rights leader, Representative John Lewis, had died from pancreatic cancer at the age of 80, to the very last representing his Georgia district. He lay in state in Washington, D.C., outside the rotunda, so that people who wanted to honor him and say their last goodbyes could do so safely. On July 30th, his final funeral was held at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, in the heart of his district and the church and pulpit of his dear friend and inspiration, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. 3 former presidents and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi were there and spoke, and Jimmy Carter, who was in his 90s, sent heartfelt praise. Never, perhaps, since the death of Dr. King himself or President Kennedy, who was a personal friend of John Lewis, have we honored a fallen statesman so powerfully. I remember sitting in my car in that same church parking lot for 4 hours listening to his funeral. There are not many moments in my life where I can remember exactly where I was and how I felt, but that was one of them. In his eulogy, former President Obama made it clear that Representative John Lewis had both mentored and inspired him, continuing Martin Luther King's lineage of courage and commitment. I remember listening and weeping there in my car. So this is what part of what President Obama said. The life of John Lewis was, in so many ways, exceptional. It vindicated the faith in our founding, redeemed that faith, that most American of ideas, that idea that any of us ordinary people without rank or wealth or title or fame can somehow point out the imperfections of this nation and come together and challenge the status quo and decide that it is in our power to remake this country that we love until it more closely aligns with our highest ideals. What a radical ideal. What a revolutionary notion. The idea that any of us, ordinary people, a young kid from Troy, can stand up to the powers and principalities and say, no, this isn't right. This isn't true. This isn't just. We can do better. And yet, as exceptional as John was, here's the thing. John never believed that what he did was more than any citizen of this country can do. I mentioned in the statement the day John passed, the thing about John was just how gentle and humble he was. And despite this storied, remarkable career, he treated everyone with kindness and respect because it was innate to him. This idea that any of us can do what he did if we are willing to persevere. So, John Lewis believed that within all of us, absolutely every single one of us, there exists this capacity for great courage. That in all of us, there is a longing to do what's right. That in all of us, there is a willingness to love all people and to extend to them their God-given rights to dignity and respect. And then this is how former President Obama ended his speech. John always saw the best in us, and he never gave up, and he never stopped speaking out because he saw the best in us. He believed in us, even when we didn't believe in ourselves. So, there he was as a congressman in his 70s, late 70s, and he kept getting himself arrested. As an old man, he didn't sit out any fight. Maybe you remember he sat in, I think this was actually that immigration bill, he sat in all night long on the floor of the United States Capitol, much to the distress of his staff who were worried about him. He knew that the march is not yet over, that the race is not yet won, that we have not, oh, you know what, I just realized, I think this is, this might still be what Obama said. I forgot that. He knew that from his own life that progress is fragile, that we have to be vigilant against the darker currents of this country's history, of our own history, with their whirlpools of violence and hatred and despair that can always rise again. That's where real courage comes from, not from turning on each other, but by turning towards one another. Not by sowing hatred and division, but by spreading love and truth. Not by avoiding our responsibilities to create a better America and a better world, but by embracing those responsibilities with joy and perseverance and discovering that in our beloved community, we do not walk alone. So who was this man, Representative John Lewis? I was ashamed as I listened to that funeral how little I knew about him and his extraordinary life. From his childhood, as was mentioned, preaching to the chickens on his family farm in Troy, Alabama, to his time as a civil rights leader by the side of Reverend King, and then his service to our country through thick and thin over nearly 40 years in the US Congress, traveling the country on behalf of African American candidates and other progressives, always kind, always ready to help, committed from the age of 15 to his death to the principles of nonviolent action. I hadn't known that he was a freedom rider, beaten many times by angry white mobs in an effort to desegregate interstate buses. I hadn't known that he'd reached out to Dr. King, writing him a letter as a teen from the country, and was taken under his wing, called the boy from Troy for the rest of Dr. King's life. I hadn't known that he was at the front of the march at the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday by Dr. King's side and was attacked by the police, leaving his blood on the bridge, carrying the scars of a fractured skull for the rest of his life, coming back from the hospital to successfully cross the bridge 2 weeks later, walking the 54 miles to Montgomery. And on that crossing, many UU clergy were with him, and lay people, both. I hadn't known that he was a founder and leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. I hadn't known he was one of the primary organizers of the Mississippi Freedom Summer in 1964, the year I was born, and the March on Washington in 1963. I hadn't known he was arrested all those times in the 1960s, more than 40 times, and 5 times after he was an elected congressman, including organizing a 24-hour sit-in in the Capitol at 76 to force a vote on gun control after the Pulse nightclub shooting, or how he was steadfast in his support of women and the rights of immigrants, steadfast in his commitments to peace and justice. Think about all those decades, all the ups and downs, all the defeats. He never gave up. I didn't really know before that day that we had had a true living American hero who didn't give up, even though death took him too soon. I have no doubt that he would have continued to serve his district and this country until he was 100, if he could have. So after his funeral, I watched a documentary that was, you can watch it on YouTube, called Good Trouble. And do watch if you can, and have read more of his words and about him. The more I read, the more I feel, maybe even more so now than 5 years ago, that we have so much to learn from him. Not just about racial justice, but about what it means to be a fine, brave, good human being. As former President Obama said, that we can all be that kind of being. So these qualities that he had, these perseverance, courage, kindness, nonviolence, commitment to that. He lived them. He wanted to be a preacher when he was young, but instead his life became a sermon, a lived ministry. One of the things he said was that every day in Congress is a fight. I just keep believing that we can make things better. So the next time, maybe 5 minutes from now, that you're feeling cynical or despairing, think of John Lewis. Imagine the profound losses and disappointments he experienced over his lifetime. The assassinations of his friends, Dr. King, Bobby Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. That last almost 4 decades in Congress, especially the last few years, and yet he woke up every morning determined, always determined. One colleague said of him, he challenges the conscience of Congress every day he is here. In the documentary I watched, Stacey Abrams, AOC, and others said of him, it is because of you, John Lewis, that we are here. So continuing that lineage. On July 30th, the day of his funeral, the New York Times published his last words for us. And the Black Lives Matter protests were happening just outside the hospital. And in fact, the day before he went into the hospital, he went to one of those marches. And I want to share these words with you, a few of them. While my time here has come to an end, I want you to know that in the last days and hours of my life, you inspired me. Millions of people motivated simply by human compassion laid down the burdens of division. Around the country and the world, you set aside race, class, age, language, and nationality to demand respect for human dignity. Though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. So if John Lewis believed this, after everything he'd been through, if John Lewis could keep the light of his fierce love burning for 80 years, surely we can. We can work for this. We can get up again after getting knocked down and keep going. What a gift he was. What a gift he is. We are so lucky to have had him walk with us for a while and show us the way. Thank you so much. And I'd like to invite you in a moment here to rise in body or spirit and really sing out in honor of the late Representative John R. Lewis, hymn number 1028 in the Teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings meet to call us on our way. When we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin.
Good, very good, thank you. The wonderful musicians, too. So, you just heard these words, but I really can't imagine more fitting closing words than these from the last writing of Representative John Lewis. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
For those interested, there's a protest at the end of the East Minute Bridge this afternoon at 4, protesting the genocide in Gaza.